Hey guys, good morning. I hope you guys are having a great Monday. Today we have an amazing guest. We have Jenz Bunnell, and make sure you get ready. He'll be on in 30 seconds, so get ready. Hey Jenz, ready?
Yes, let's
How
do
are you
it.
today?
Great. I'm great. How are you?
Doing awesome. Appreciate it for being with us today. I'm sure everybody's going to be excited to hear you and be able to get all the awesome information you always provide us. So I'm going to let you get started. Guys, make sure you guys comment and participate. Take advantage that we have Jenz today. So I'm going to go ahead and take over the stage, Jenz.
Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate it. It is so good to be here, Solar Empowerment Live. Whether you are here watching after the fact or during, welcome, and so excited to get started. I'm grateful for the opportunity always to provide a little bit of free wisdom, some nuggets, hopefully, that you can take into your daily life. The very first thing that I'll start with is um, I feel just the immense gratitude and opportunity to work in the space and be in the space that we're in together. The solar world is so dynamic. It's so new. It's the wild west in many other respects. At the same time, it's all the great things. There can be a lot of turmoil in a space like that. It can be there's a lot of turmoil and tough things that happen. There's a lot of ups and downs, whether you're a rep or owning a company or on the back end in operations, whatever it might be. There's a lot that goes into this. And with that, unless you're installing the panels up on the roof, a lot of it is the mental and emotional side. And that's what's going to be our focus today. That's what we're going to dive into. And we're not going to just, get ourselves pumped and be super, we'll do we'll make ourselves feel pretty good and everything. But the main thing is the skills. We have a lot of people, we listen to TED Talks, we listen to On the Way to Turf, we'll listen to Tupac or Eminem or whatever it is and get ourselves stoked out of our mind to go and do what we want to go do. And it lasts about 3 doors in. 3 rejections in. It lasts maybe midway through the day when our morning coffee wears off or whatever it is. And so it's the motivation word is a word that I've started to struggle with because it really is not just about motivation. It's not about just a routine. It's about skill. It's about understanding your own psychology, your own mind, your own heart, understand what works for you, what you've been through, and how to continue to grow, how to grow that skill. And so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to share my screen here. I always feel it helpful to be able to have some sort of something we can follow. So bear with me as I get this loaded up. Hopefully this is sharing. Brenda, you can tell me if it's not, but hopefully it's up there. I want to start off with this idea of the mental and emotional performance like we talked about. And before we dive into that, I'll give you a little bit of an idea of the background of where I'm coming from, what I've been through, and what's put me in the platform that I am now. I've been extremely blessed to, for the past nearly 2 years now, travel the country and be with about 1 to 3 door-to-door companies every single week across the country. And it's given me a beautiful insight in this of the companies in this world, and especially in the solar world, the things that do work and don't work, the different cultures that are experienced, and what works and what doesn't work with that. To give you an idea, just of my background again, to help you know where I'm coming from, I started my professional life in the corporate world. I was at Goldman Sachs and did sales and marketing for a while. Right during that time after I left Goldman Sachs to pursue a dream of being a public speaker and all these kind of pipe dreams that I had, I got a sales job. And while I was doing this corporate sales job, I hit rock bottom in my life. Everything went to, as they say, to hell in a handbasket. And it took me there to rock bottom. And it put me down a path of addiction recovery, trauma recovery, personal, marriage, group therapy, all of the counselings, all of the healing, all the therapies for weekly for years. And it started to change everything in my life. It was more than just a routine. It was more than just going to the gym. And it was more than just a mindset shift. It was actual deep penetrated changes in my life, deep inside my heart. And it started to reflect itself not only in my personal life and my marriage and the way that I felt about myself, but also in the professional setting. I went from being an average sales rep, doing pretty well, to breaking records in the company that I was in. And I didn't do anything but change my mind and my heart. That led me to transitioning from not just speaking, but doing more skills training, led me to getting my master's in business at the University of Tennessee, and now pursuing my PhD in psychology that I'll have done here in the next couple of years. It's been a journey, and it's been one that is not, like all of you, has not been easy, but it's something that's been so worth it as I have worked on myself, because once again, it changes everything. It's the rising tide that raises all ships. And to kind of give us a foundation of that, if you've listened or been to any of my workshops or heard me speak, I will always share this quote because it is so, so important and the foundation of what we'll talk about today and what my company Momentum is built off of. Essentially, when you raise the mental and emotional ability of an individual, you raise the overall performance of that individual. If you can raise the mental and emotional ability of your own psychology, of your own mindset, of your own life, the overall performance, your overall performance also increases. If you want to go make more, knock more, be able to overcome more objection, if you want to go have a deeper relationship, if you want to find somebody that's healthy and yet you can have a strong bond with, you focus on your mental and emotional ability. It's the rising tide that raises all ships. It permeates every portion of our lives. There's study upon study now, and that's what I do with my PhD program is we research and study about emotional intelligence and how people make more, they feel more, they feel more fulfilled, especially. They're able to go and achieve what they want to achieve because there's this sense of confidence within inside themselves that is unattainable unless you have the skills that lead up to that. So that brings me to this point of finding the skills. Like, how do we do this? If mental and emotional ability is a skill, then what are some skills that we can learn? First, it's really important to understand this foundation that we all have a max, right? For some reason, we struggle to connect the idea that our mental and emotional ability has a cap, just like our physical ability does, right? If you can go and bench 135 pounds, that's 2 plates on a bench press, and that's your max. No matter how many TED Talks, no matter how much Eminem, no matter how much Tupac, no matter how much YouTube motivational videos that you watch, the next day, no matter what, you're not going to be able to go and bench 315. There's nothing there, you can't. And we understand that if I were to go and run, David Goggins, the crap out of my mind, no matter what, eventually my body's going to fail. Eventually my physiology, my physical body will collapse. And we understand that. We get that. Yet, for some reason, on the mental and emotional side, we say, well, if I just go into the gym and let off all my steam and put my head down and go to work, I'm going to be fine. And I'm sure there's some of y'all watching this that are guilty of that. I mean, we all are. And there's some truth to that. You will get through it. However, on the other side, you will be mentally and emotionally collapsed. So this idea of the window of tolerance was this concept created by this Dr. Siegel in 1999. And he came up with this idea of the window of tolerance. He said, essentially, we all operate inside this window. Inside this window, we are our true, most highest, authentic self. Loving, caring, understanding, empathetic, driven, tenacious, ferocious, all those things that you want to be, we're inside our window. However, there's events that happen in our life that take us outside of this window. When we're outside of this window, we are short with people, we're depressed, we're anxious. The most frivolous example is like getting hangry, right? If you get hangry, or your spouse or friend gets hangry, they're impatient, or we get really frustrated really easily. We're outside of our window. There's an unmet need, right? Maybe you could attribute that to being psychologically weak, or you could look at it from the scientific side of we have a tolerance of our nervous system, and you're above that tolerance. More of a serious or heavy example would be like losing a loved one. You can't even get out of bed, let alone go knock doors, let alone go make cold calls, go close appointments. You're outside of your window. So the key would be is, well, how do we stay inside our window? And the issue is not trying to keep everything inside our window and try to keep it flatline, because flatline on EKG, you dead. And the idea isn't trying to suppress everything and be numb, because nobody wants to buy from a numb person. Nobody wants to be in a relationship with a numb person. All right, the key is understanding that we can't control all of the things that happen to us. We can't control the things that come up in our lives. Can't control if we lose a loved one or lose a job, if our spouse gets hangry. But what we can control is the size of our window. We can increase our ability to withstand, become mentally and emotionally strong, for one, but it's not by just like, again, saying things to my head or listening to a motivational video or going to the gym. I'm sure some of y'all say, gym's my therapy. It might help. It will help. It will help your mental and emotional state, yes. But it does not heal trauma. It does not bring the skills that you need to go and navigate a conversation, right? Or navigate through anxiety. It can help, but it's not the end all be all. There's skills to this. So if we can increase our ability within our window, we're in a really good spot. We're increasing our overall performance as an individual. So in the door-to-door world, I mentioned that I've had the opportunity to be with countless door-to-door companies at this point, 1 to 3 every week for the past close to 2 years now. And yes, that makes for a ton of traveling, like 28 days a month has been pretty consistent. And with that, I've had also the opportunity to meet in thousands of sessions at this point with door-to-door professionals. I have the opportunity to work with some of the most high-performing business owners, door-to-door knockers, the ones that you would know in socials. If you're in the door-to-door world, they're on the main stages. And client privilege, I can't expose who they are or tell who they are, because that's something that's so important, is the confidentiality part. But I've had the opportunity to work with extremely talented people. And I've had the opportunity to work with the rep that's been on the doors for 2 weeks in this course of my company. It's been thousands of sessions to this point, and my team continues. We support thousands of reps now. And in all of these sessions, we've gathered 3 different personas that the average door-to-door industry rep or business owner can fit in. Right? And this, I would say, even goes outside of door-to-door. I mean, I say door-to-door just to keep it simple, but this could be virtual. This could be you leading a company. This could be even outside of sales. This could be in the operations, the back end. And there's 3 personas that we fall into, and we kind of bounce in between. And some of us have a cap with it. Some of us can get to the top level, but we're not perfect, right? So some of these 3 personas we're going to go into. What's going to kind of structure the rest of our conversation is understanding these 2 different words. So often we mesh them together. Responsibility versus ownership. I want you to think to yourself, what is the difference between responsibility and ownership? How are they different? If we look at it, ownership allows you to own what is like extreme ownership, like the book, right? In 5 seconds, we can sum it up as you own your life. You own what is happening. On the other side, responsibility, are you responsible for everything that happens in your life, especially the things that happen to you or have happened to you? No. There's a very toxic idea that is everything is your fault. And it's nice to say that a lot of times because it gives us a sense of control and that we can control everything that comes into our life. But it can be very toxic and very damaging, especially if it's coming from somebody that's maybe has a toxic personality and is telling you everything is your fault. Not everything is your fault. You can't tell me that the child that has a father leave, it's the child's fault, or that grows up in poverty, that it's the child's fault. You can't tell me that you're driving down the freeway and somebody hits you, that it's your fault. You could say, well, it's my fault for getting in the car, but it's not your fault for getting hit. Right? But you can own the circumstances that you've been given. You can own the fact that you had a parent leave when you were a kid. You can own the fact that you've lived in poverty. You can own the fact that somebody hit you and make it better. There's that old saying, you can get bitter or get better. And that's what ownership allows us to do, is to own the things that have happened to us and get better. So many of us run away from it. That's what my company lives and dies on, is helping people not run from their stuff. You own it so you can get better with it. You own it so you can understand it. You own it so you can go and change and save others' lives. So these three personas is going to focus on this idea of ownership, right? So the first one is the persona of the person that owns the doors. And we'll explain what that means. The second one is the person that owns their mind. The third person is the person that owns their heart. And the idea is if you own just the doors, you don't own your mind and you don't own your heart. If you own your mind, you own the doors and you own your mind, but you don't own your heart. If you own your heart, you own all three. We'll talk about what that means. Again, not responsibility, but ownership. And that doesn't mean that we excuse ourselves from accountability and responsibility from when it is our responsibility, of course. We can't have ownership without that, right? But you don't own things that are not yours, okay? The question we're going to kind of hold true throughout this the last little bit that we have is, who owns who? When you think about going out to work, who owns who? Does your front door own you? Is it hard to get out of the house? Does your car door own you? Do the doors that you're knocking own you? Does a door to your office that you walk into own you? Is your mind owning you, or are you owning it? And it's a little bit different with the heart. If we allowed our heart to own us, we'd probably be in a lot better place than any of us are right now. But are we listening to what our heart is telling us that we need to go do? That we need to go achieve? We need to stop being scared, stop being insecure, which is easier said than done. Again, it's a skill to learn. So who owns who? Okay, we're going to learn a little bit about these personas real quick so we can have an understanding and kind of find what bucket that we fall in. There's no shame to understand, to own where you are. So in any of this, I'll say like these people or those people. In no way is it shameful, because we all ebb and flow between all of these from day to day. The goal, however, is to reduce the amount of time that we spend not owning our heart. So if we can own our heart, we own the rest of these. Okay, so owning the doors, the upsides of the people that they own the doors. Okay, they're great salespeople, or great employees, or great virtual salespeople. Okay, they perform well. They go crush it. They're the people that come in and immediately have success. They own the doors. They own the door to the office. They own the doors that they knock. They have very quick financial gains. These are the people that come in, make a quick buck, often spend it a little bit too quickly, which we'll talk about as well. But that's kind of where it ends. Those are the upsides. The downsides of just simply owning the doors is generally these people lack discipline, constantly searching for something to keep them more disciplined. They can't figure it out. They'll go crush it and own the doors, but then it starts to get more and more difficult to get out or to stay out. Constantly searching for motivation. Again, that M word. Constantly searching for motivation. Horrible habits and routines. Some of you would be surprised, some of you wouldn't. The amount of addiction that is in the door-to-door world. It is rampant. That's the world that we live in, that my company lives in, and helping people heal and grow out of addiction. But it's because this world that we live in, one, and two, the industry that we're in is so up and down and so stressful. So to create some sort of sense of security, stability, outlet, easy addictions start to settle in. Relationships suffer, burned out and numb. Inevitably, these people will fail. A flash in the pan. Doesn't last long. The doors can only be owned for so long until you got to start owning your mind and your heart. If you fall into this, we all fall into this sometimes, where this is all that we own. This is all that we focus on. This is all that we care about. It's owning the business, owning the doors, owning our income, which is so important. But again, one without the other inevitably will fail and fall. The next one is owning your mind. This persona that owns their mind, meaning they own the doors, they own their mind, they don't own their heart quite yet. I would say the majority of our population in this world, majority of millionaires, even billionaires out there are here. They're here. These people have a very solid routine. They're disciplined. They have an extremely great routine, wake up in the morning, gym, all that kind of stuff. They're driven and focused. They get places. They're resilient with an asterisk. They're resilient to a point until they're not, until they pop. A balloon can only hold so much air until it pops. That's what this is. They own their mind to a point. Chasing a dream. They have it in their sights and they're going after it. Financially successful. They've owned their mind, their discipline. They can stick to something. Right? Then it ends there. The downside is not fulfilled, poor outlets in coping, maybe addiction, but usually the work is the addiction. That's how they've owned their mind. Can act out of integrity, meaning not in integrity, meaning that they can kind of blur the lines sometimes. Little personal depth, because again, the focus is all on my routine, my drive, my resilience, my dream, my financial success, relationship struggle. They might not implode completely, but they struggle. Right? Kind of goes into that fulfilled part. Again, I believe the majority of business owners, entrepreneurs, we stop here because it gets us places and it gets us very financially successful. We can do very, very well until we don't. Until we have that midlife crisis, or we realize that we haven't seen our family in 2 years, or we realize that we're just a shell of a man or shell of a woman. Right? We have a lot of success. We have this dream in sights, yet something's missing. I'm sure there's some of you that feel that way. I've felt that way. And the idea, again, is to move one step closer to owning our heart. The upside of owning your heart. It's a lifestyle now. It's not a routine. It's no more about, that I have to go do this. This is the only way that I can survive. This is what I see on people on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube say that successful is I got to have this routine. No, now it's a lifestyle. It's the way that you live. It's not a have to or anything. It's a need. It's the way that I want to live, not because somebody has told me that it was a good idea. Not because, this is the secret to success. It's because this is the secret to my life. This is my lifestyle. And next is these people are very fulfilled. There's this immense sense in the chest that it's fulfilling. Life is fulfilling. These people act in integrity. They don't step out of bounds. We're all imperfect, right? But they, in the majority of the time, are acting in integrity. They'll sacrifice money and fame and whatever it is to own their life and be integral. These people are not chasing a dream, they're living a dream. What that means is that the book that you're writing of life right now, we hear that a lot, the book of life. The chapter that you're writing right now is in the same book that'll end with the achievement of your dream. So in a sense, to get from one chapter to the next, you have to live that chapter. Again, so in a sense, you're living the dream right now. People that own their heart understand that this is the dream right now. And at any point, you are living somebody else's dream. At any point of your life, no matter how bad you have it, you're living somebody else's dream. right? When I came to the terms of my addiction and trauma and everything like that, when I was going through recovery, I think about that time and like, in what way in God's green earth was I living a dream? And I think about it, I was living a dream because I was getting help. I was getting support. You could file bankruptcy on your company tomorrow, and in some world, you are living somebody else's dream. So understand that you're living your dream right now, and stop chasing it, that it's here. And that you got to be here to get there. All right, next, the sense of deep self-awareness, understanding the emotion, understanding yourself from the jaw down, what you feel, how to take care of yourself, how to show up for yourself. And these people have extremely meaningful relationships. The only downside, the one and only, is that we're not perfect. So you can own your heart. You can do all the skill work. You can increase the size of your window. No matter what, you're going to have moments where you go outside your window. You're going to have moments where you're just owning your mind, or you're just owning the doors, or the doors are owning you, or your mind's owning you. Just because I help somebody with anxiety doesn't mean that I don't experience anxiety. Just because I help people with insecurity doesn't mean that I don't feel insecure at times. But like we said before, the idea is to decrease the amount of time spent in that anxiety and that insecurity and you being owned by your business or owned by the doors. We decrease the amount of time spent by leaning in and owning our heart and increasing our window. When you own your heart, you own everything else. Okay, we're going to blaze through this. I'm going to give you 3 questions to ask yourself. 3 questions to ask yourself. How have the doors owned me? How has my mind owned me? And how have I not listened to my heart? Take a personal inventory. This is a time to own where you're at. Own how closely aligned you are with yourself and what you have been feeling, that burning feeling in your gut, to go out and achieve what you're meant to achieve, that only you can achieve here on this earth because nobody else is you. What's holding you back? What's causing you to be insecure? Where are you at? Own it. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 things that help us get one step closer to owning our heart. First thing is own every day that you've lived. Own every part. If you know me, I talk a lot about the nervous system. If we had time, we'd go into it, but it's so important to own every day that you've lived. That means every bit of the traumatic, hard, devastating things that you have been put through from day 0 to day now. That means going and getting help, talking to somebody, getting skills, getting a new skill set to cope, understand, look the deepest, darkest event or fear that you have been running from, and look at it, face it, own it. Own every day. This is the number one foundational thing that you could ever do to own your heart and increase your window, is own every day that you've lived. The mistakes you've made and the things that have been done to you. You don't take responsible for the things that have been done to you, but you can take ownership. The next is to build a fortress with a massive gate. What do you think I mean by that? Build a fortress with a massive gate. All right, people don't have to live your life. We'll talk about that in a second. So and your time is limited. We'll also talk about that in a second. So we don't have time to mess with things and people that don't contribute to the success and joy and fulfillment of our life. We don't have time to be treated poorly or spend our time in causes that don't matter or waste time, precious time. So we have to have some sort of boundary, some sort of fortress. At the same time, we got to have a massive gate to let the people and the things in that deserve to be in there. To be welcoming and approachable, yet very, very confident, very, very respectful and of yourself. Build a fortress with a massive gate. Next is take a risk on yourself. Nobody's going to take a risk on you. Not very many people will, so you might as well take a risk on yourself. Be dangerous. The trust that's built when you experience some sort of danger in yourself, to go and pull yourself through. Take a risk. Nothing was completed by a cautious man or woman that was ever great. Be dangerous. Trust your heart. You own every day that you've lived. Build a fortress with a massive gate. Take a risk on yourself. Be dangerous. Now, there's so much that can go into each and every one of these. Generally, the trainings I do, go out to a company, it'll be 2 days, 8+ hours. There's so much that can go into it. So this, I hope, isn't the end of this discussion, and we can be something that you can reach out, we can get you help and support. These are things that we can go through and do. Right? But these 3 things, think of ways that you can own every day, build a fortress with a massive gate, and be dangerous. Take a risk on yourself. Take a risk on yourself. So I'm going to have you take a piece of paper, if you have one close, or your phone. It's a little activity. I want you to write your age that you are right now, the age you want to live to. Okay, so 85, 90, 95, 100. I mean, be realistic, not like Elon Musk's going to make us live forever. And then take the difference. And pay attention to how you feel. It's like, wow, I got a lot of time left. I'm good. Or is it, dang, I don't have that much time. No right or wrong reason. It's just interesting to see the perspective that you have on your life. And 2, it teaches us one thing. I mentioned it just barely. Time is finite. The years that you have remaining are numbered. Hypothetically, you have a certain amount of time left on this earth. Nothing's guaranteed. To go and achieve what you want to achieve. Live your life how you want to live it. Make and have and all of that, what you want to make and have. Be the person that you want to be. Independent of what other people think. Independent of what other people want you to be or think you can be. It's yours. It's finite. So again, we don't have time to mess with people that treat us like crap. We don't have time to mess around with things that hurt us. It's time to realize that the time is finite and we have to capitalize on the time that we have, because there will only ever be one of you. And for some reason, the timing is perfect for you to be here now. And the world needs too much of you for you to be messing around with people that don't treat you well. Or messing around with things that hurt you and therefore hurt others. Right? Utilize the time that you have. Nobody has to live your future but you. Nobody else has to live it. So why care so much about what other people think? Why care what the people in the neighborhood or on social media or whatever are going to think of you? Why not turn into yourself, figure it out, what you need to do, heal, and then turn outward? Because nobody has to live your future. You choose your hard. You can get through your trauma and everything and get through that now. Or you can allow that trauma and everything to control you and live your life and everything and be nagging at your mind and your heart for the rest of your life. Choose your hard. Nobody has to live your future but you. Secondly, the biggest impact on your world. The biggest impact that you'll have on your world is you. I get it a lot that, people knocking doors or whatever it is. Like, I don't know if I'm really impacting people's lives. I don't know if I'm really actually impacting the way people live and think and everything by just putting solar on their house. Well, the truth is you might help them. You might help bill swap or cut their bill or whatever it is that, you're doing in the soul world. The truth is that the biggest impact that you can make is on you. The biggest impact you can make by going and knocking the doors is the impact that you'll make on you by the mental and emotional gains, the financial gains. And by impacting you, you get to impact those that matter most to you. That might be your meaning. That might be your purpose, that the biggest impact on your world is you. So again, time is finite. Owning your heart is so important, because the biggest impact you can make on your world is you. This idea of digging for gold, you might have heard this story, Think and Grow Rich. I won't tell it in its fullness. But essentially, there was somebody in the gold rush in Colorado that was digging, and a line ran dry. They were digging gold, and they were making so much money, and a line just randomly ran dry. He dug and dug and dug. And he couldn't find the gold. He wasted all the money, the fortunes, the millions that he had made previously finding this line of gold. He couldn't find any more, and he spent it all trying to find more. So he went and gave up all of his gear, all of his manufacturing stuff, like everything he spent his time with. He lost it all. He gave it up to this junk man, they call him. And the junk man takes all this equipment, goes to an expert and says, look, this is a scenario. I don't know why these people couldn't find the gold. Can you help me? The expert, he's a geologist or something, said there's fault lines in this area. Go dig 3 feet to the left or the right. I can't remember what direction it was. He said, go dig 3 feet from this line that these people are on. So, okay, the junk man goes, takes his stuff, gets his some of his family and goes, and they strike gold 3 feet from where the other person was digging. And they found one of the richest lines in all of the gold rush of Colorado. The reason why I quickly share this story is to get this idea that you are the gold. You might be this close from owning your heart. You might be this close from that next big break. You might be this close from feeling that feeling of being enough, finally, for once in your life, feeling that. You are the gold. So whatever it takes to own your heart, whatever it takes to achieve what you want to achieve, continue to dig and get smart about it. Get the skills, get the resources. You are the gold. You are the gold. You are the gold. Own your heart and own the gold that's within inside you. By owning the gold, you can achieve everything you want to achieve and change and save lives. That's been my mantra from day one, is change and save lives. And you get to do that with starting with your own, by owning your gold. I would love to stay connected. I would love to help you in your journey. I have a team of, some of them are licensed psychologists. Some of them have been through similar experiences like mine or have trained. We'd love to support you. Again, we support thousands of reps within companies and individually, get you one-on-one support, get you 24/7 call support, and anything else we can do to help you or your company. I would love, love, love to help you find your heart and maintain that and own it and find your gold so you can change and save lives. Thank you so much for letting me come on. I appreciate you. I know the things that we have been through in this life. I see it, I hear it, and I know what it takes to get up out of bed every morning. I know what it takes to live a life of success and fulfillment and joy. And I can guarantee you the past things you've been through at age 5, 10, 15, if that person could see you now, man, would they be rejoicing. Man, would they be so stoked that they get to be you. So embrace it. Find your gold. Go change and save lives. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Jenz. That was beautiful, powerful, and I'm sure this is everybody enjoyed it. What best way to start our Monday than having you? So I appreciate it, and make sure everybody follow Jenz. Contact him if you guys, need help, and I'm sure he'll be able to help you guys. So I just want to mention something. I'm sure a lot of people already know, but in case that you guys don't know, Jenz will be speaking SolarCon 2024. So super excited to have you. And if you guys don't have your tickets yet, go to attendsolarcon.com and get it. You don't want to miss Jen's presentation. So I really, really, really appreciate it for being with us today. And I wish you all to have a beautiful, beautiful Thanksgiving. And thank you, Jenz. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brenda.
Have a
Thank you
beautiful,
so
beautiful
much.
week. Bye-bye.
You guys too. Bye-bye.